Go for it.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you are. It's the one and only V, the Guerrilla Economist, and today we are back again with the boys from RemainCalm.net. RemainCalm.net, the solution, our sponsors, a company that I am connected with, that I am working very closely with, and very much deeply involved with the inner workings. Yes.
You just made that sound weird.
It is what it did. It did sound very weird. Very, it's strange, but anyway, these guys are here, and they're going to be teaching. This is part two. If you missed the first one, go back to the archives. I think it was about maybe two weeks ago or so. Listen to the first one, and this is part two, where we're going to be talking about more solutions. We're going to talk about how to get a car with no credit, to get a home with no credit, and a myriad of other details that people have questions about. So this is important. Cue in here. This is about financial survival. This is what I call guerrilla warfare. It's guerrilla trench warfare for the new money world. That being said, Frank and Mr. X, what's going on, guys?
Hey, V. Excited to be here.
That's a very essential voice you got there, Frank.
Thank you, V.
Oh my God, I'm totally freaking out.
V.
No, stop, man, stop. You're making me want to vomit.
Sorry.
Dude,
I was gonna change the words to "Ooh Child" and use credit terms.
You do that, and I'll sing the Ariel Little Mermaid song with the and you know how much you were traumatized with the Little Mermaid as a child.
I thought we weren't gonna bring that up, V.
Dude, I'm not gonna go there.
I read a comment. I'm never reading comments again under these videos. Yeah. Someone said, if you're trying to sell a product, you really shouldn't giggle through the whole interview.
Really? That person is
I was just like, well, I gotta be me. I mean,
that was me. I admit it. Sorry.
It was you, John?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, X.
I couldn't resist. I had to do that.
How dare you? So let me, if we can, catch people up to what we were talking about last time. So, and I want to make this really clear because, there's always, it's great. We get emails and people sort of following up with what we've been talking about on here, which has been really fun for me and Mr. X. And some people, we even had someone get really, I've got a few emails where people said they were inspired by it to do things a little differently, which is really, really exciting. And it's inspired us because we've been talking about what we want to discuss in these little discussions together, and it's just all moving in that direction of helping people get free, helping people figure out that there are ways to make money. And you don't have to be an inventor or something like that. You just have to know some means and some methods. And so Mr. X is going to sort of be our mentor in that. And so I'm excited because I've got so much to learn from him, and doubly excited because the listeners are going to benefit. And it really is. People throw this term around a lot, but or phrase around a lot, but it really could be life-changing stuff for some people. But where we left off last week, and I wanted to sort of clarify something really quick. We were talking about not letting the fear of having bad credit put you in a situation where you're barely surviving. Because when you're in that situation, you're going to crash anyway and eventually have bad credit, right? And so what some people do is they perpetuate the extreme discomfort of being up to their eyeballs in credit card debt because they don't want to see their credit scores dip. They don't want to get in any trouble. And of course, obviously at Remain Calm, we help people. We protect bank accounts and stuff like that. We fix credit. We work on stuff like that. So obviously that's the context. We're not saying you should just say, forget it and default and everything. We're saying, there is a system. It's affordable. It's more affordable than most people's monthly credit card bills by far. And so there is a system. There are ways and means of safely exiting your debt if you need to. Now, and one of the things is it definitely will cause at least short-term damage to your credit at the very least. And so you want to know how to operate when you don't have great credit. And so one of the things that Mr. X was talking about was how to buy a car with bad credit. And he actually went so far as to create a whole beautiful, I don't know, couple 1,000-word document here on how to buy a car with bad credit. And so we're going to talk about that today, and then we're going to make that available at Remain Calm.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So let's get this thing started off, man. So go ahead, guys. Just where do you want to begin, man? Because a lot of people are in a daze, and Mr. X, I remember having this conversation with you where we talked about, like for instance, when you have people that are trying to serve you with court papers, and how you told me that funny story, and this is something that people need to have. These debt collectors who try to file judgments against you, got people showing up and knocking on your door to serve you papers. You literally had your your doors open, but with the glass door closed so they could see inside. And you and your family just sat there and had dinner and just looked at the idiot like they weren't even there.
Yeah. We've had all kinds of craziness. We've had ugly neighbors call the cops on me for nothingness, right? So the cops have to show up. This is like years ago, and they knock on the door, and we're sitting there eating dinner, and the cops knocking on the door with the neighbor, and they just walk away, because it's your house. But we're on this credit stuff where people. The reason why I say that story is because you have to realize where you are. I mean, if you're in your house, that's your castle. It's just like with credit, your life doesn't stop because your credit score is low and you can't buy a car like you did out of college or something, or with a cosigner. So there are different considerations. Like, for example, you just need to recognize that when you're going to buy a car, typically you're going to get there's going to be a lender involved, right? And the lender goes through an underwriting process. And all that means is the bank follows a set of statistics that manage risk. And the only reason it does that is so the bank can sell your debt obligation to investors. That's really what's going on. Like when you buy a car, you're dealing with not a car dealer per se, you're dealing with a broker dealer, which is dealing in finance. So your car dealer is actually a banker.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do by buying something like a car with bad credit is you're not going to go straight into that same process you did when you had good credit or when you were building your credit. You want to go a little bit around or some qualify for the underwriting if you have to, using other methods. And then, for example, like obviously if you put more money down, the dealer's going to make the deal. He'll find somebody to lend you some money. Okay, that's
right.
One way to do it.
And we've done this with clients, Mr. X. You and I have done this with clients before.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the reason why I came up with this is because,
oh my God, my car's breaking down. What do I do? It's going to explode. What do I do? Oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, for years, people have called me after we get them out of their debt situation, and we tell them, you're going to have other things come up, so let us know. And of course, they say, I need a car, but my credit's toast. And so there is a process or several options you can follow. And so the first recommendation I have is don't try to buy a brand new car. I mean, unless you're going to put, half down or something, it just doesn't make sense to try and buy a brand new car. You can get a really nice car
even Mr. X, even from a financial standpoint, buying a brand new car is stupid.
It is stupid. Absolutely.
People with money don't buy brand new cars. You
That's
idiot, right. Footballers and rap stars and dumbass celebrities are the morons who blow money on new cars. Real wealthy people. I'm not talking about rich. Like what Chris Rock says, rich is something you can lose on a summer with a hooker and a drug habit. You can lose rich. Okay? I'm talking about wealth. I mean, wealth is like what Chris Rock says. Wealth is the family that owns the color blue. Okay? Then he wanted to say, Shaq's rich. Shaq is rich, but the guy who writes Shaq's check, he's wealthy.
Absolutely.
And he writes his check, goes, here you go, Shaq. Go buy yourself a bouncing car.
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing.
People will
I never buy a brand new car.
Yeah, foolish people will buy new cars. They don't need a new car. They just need a nice car. They need a good car. They need a quality car.Maybe they need
40%. Not to mention the 40% depreciation, man. I mean, it's crazy.
Of course. So that's the first.
I buy all my cars stolen. I don't know what you are. I basically just loiter around the chop shop till I see something I like.
It doesn't even make sense to steal a car. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can buy a car. Look, here's the net. Okay, for the next 12 to 14 months, easily. Okay, y'all know this. This is going to be like the easiest time ever to buy a used car or any car. I mean, just if you don't believe what I'm saying, go drive down anywhere in your neighborhood, pick a street where there are car dealerships, used car dealerships, new car, whatever. They're packed.
Yes, they are. So
what does that tell you? There's a glut in the market. And it's going to get worse.
Huge.
Or better for us, that is.
Yep.
So it's becoming much easier. And this is what I said about 10 years ago. People are talking about, the credit and this sort of thing. I said, look, the market for selling cars to people with bad credit is growing because there's too much debt. So the car dealers are going to be forced to make deals with people with bad credit. And as you've said, you've said on your show before, V, recently, this is what's going on. They have incentives for people with bad credit. You would think there would be incentives for people with good credit. So the market's, so just understand that part of it. So they have to go through underwriting, and so you can sometimes avoid the underwriting, or you can qualify on the lowest rung for underwriting, so to speak, by coming up with a larger down payment. But the first thing I tell people is when you want to buy a car for yourself, start making car payments to yourself. If you don't have the car yet, but you want to get the car, okay, then take the money out of your cash flow, your job, your paycheck, whatever it is, and put it aside. And today I would tell you, put it aside in a dang shoebox in your room or your office somewhere, or put it in a vault. Put the cash aside so it's not in your bank. For many reasons. The one reason is it's harder to spend it if it's in cash.
Yeah.
So put it aside and make yourself car payments, expecting that that's about the car payment you're going to be making. And do that for as long as you can until you absolutely have to have the car now.
Yep. And there's so many deals out there right now. I mean, they're giving, again, like what you said. I mean, low credit discounts, this, that, and the other. And look, here's a sign of the times, man. I mean, the Ford Motor Company, Ford Motor Credit is getting rid of the entire, credit system. They're not even going to be looking at your credit scores anymore. They're proposing that because they have a gluttony of vehicles they need to move, and then giving you a loan based on your Facebook profile or whatever is what they're looking to do, man. So
this leads into this. Like I said, it's making it more easy. It's making it easier, and this is what we did 10 or 15 years ago. We would actually have the client go and get his W-2 and his pay stubs and his deposits, and just show like a makeshift balance sheet, right, or an income statement, just something you can show the car dealer, to prove that you have so much income for so much time. And obviously, the longer term you have that income, the better, and that is also showing that you have some intelligence, that you need to, demonstrate your ability to pay. And so that, in lieu of your credit, is another way to, in addition to having cash, that shows the discipline that you took to save that cash. You can go into a dealer and they're going to see that you're going to pay for the car. It's a good risk, in other words. So you just have to plan ahead and not act like everybody, like you did a long time ago, like everybody does with good credit. A lot of times people with 780 score and higher, it becomes their identity. And then when it becomes their ego, and when that goes away for some reason, they're devastated because they don't have these skills.
Oh, totally.
I think it brings up another aspect of this, which is another thing that's going on with this. There's this sort of insecurity that people have about having to go in and talk about this issue with the car dealer. And it sounds a little silly, but I think realistically for a lot of people, there's more of this psychic static about how to approach things like this, where the fear of embarrassment, feeling like you're out of place, feeling like, how am I going to explain this bad credit score, is the thing that keeps the person from even thinking that they can solve the problem. It's kind of like that unpleasant thought of going in there and being the guy with the bad credit score who has to wheel and deal a little bit. Just makes a person say, oh, I can't do that. I can't be that person. And, it's sort of shame keeping you from asserting yourself and trying to solve a problem like an adult. And we have a really, I don't know if we want to tell all our tricks, but we have a very simple suggestion for people who are embarrassed about bad credit. If you were forced to default on stuff and protect your assets and go through the whole process, who's going to find out? We just had this, in fact, John and I had this conversation just yesterday. And we have a really easy one. You just say, I was a victim of identity theft and I've been working on it. But and so you might see I have some problems with my credit. and then you take it from there.
Yeah, that's
I got good income, I pay my bills, but I'm a victim of identity theft. And you just move right past it. Now no one's embarrassed and you can get down to talking about making a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You get the shame out of it.
People need to understand it. Yeah, get the shame out of it, because people need to understand it. Dude, it's a game.
Yes,
it's a game. It's not real. I keep telling people it's not real. So if you need to assume a character or an identity in the sense of, hey, you know what? I had ID theft. Even though you've had some financial hard times and you haven't paid your bill in 6 months, and now you're pulling yourself out of the crap hole, and you just have bad credit. You say, hey, listen, here's the deal. Because look, you got to understand, the bank ain't looking for truth. Frank, why don't you explain to them why the bank is not looking for? They just want to make their paper look good. Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, they're all about making sure that whatever they did is justifiable.
That's it.
So they
all it
want to
is.
give you money. They want to extend credit to you. They want to finance whatever it is you're doing. They've got to make it look good. Otherwise, you know, they get in trouble. So that's what the whole thing is about. Nobody actually cares about these things. It's just a matter.
Yeah,
It was funny, we were talking.
Right.
I have a new account with Wells. And I was going through all this stuff where every time I try to buy things, they shut me down. And just the irony of Wells flagging everything I do as fraud. We're talking about one of the most fraudulent organizations of all time.
Really?
And and we really liked on how their debit card. I sent this to you via the little screenshot.
Oh yeah, North American ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it says Wells Fargo National ASS. That's how they abbreviate it.
National ass. That's what it is. Yeah, National ass. Wells Fargo,
I was like, this is very true. And then it denied the purchase. it bounced it back and wouldn't give me my Litecoin. I was so mad. Yeah, I had to call them up. You know.
Well, you know, even in spite of trying to, you know, don't act like you got to have confidence. Don't act like the victim here. You're just going about doing the thing like adults do. You need a car? Okay, go get a car.
Yeah.
Forget the stigma that goes with credit. Okay, it's just a game, like V said, it is. And so here, in spite of, okay, you know that if you get a long-term loan, the payments are less. I'm saying throw that idea out the window. Now that sounds counterintuitive, possibly, but it's good for managing money. It's better because you're buying a liability and you don't want that money out in the liability longer. It's just going to cost you more. You're better off to pay it off quickly, not too quickly, but I would say look for a short-term loan like 36 months, okay, 3 years, or I would even say a year, okay? And also don't just get the cheapest car, some clunker you can, you know, that can barely run with no warranty or anything. Find a decent car. Like I like to buy BMWs, and I get them that are 10 years old, and they have 250,000 miles on them. Those are the best cars because usually people take care of them. You know, and it might cost more to fix things, but you're going to fix it less.
Yeah,
and it's just more reliable.
Yeah, especially if you put a Carfax on it, you look at it. You got to look at it as a dealer maintained car. If it's a dealer maintained car with good service records, that's the same thing with me. Like, you know, I have M cars, and you know, BMW's M division. You're talking about a higher maintenance vehicle, but I make sure that my cars are impeccable. You know, dealer records. And dude, I'm telling you right now, my M3 has been more reliable than a Toyota Camry that I once owned. You know, so yeah. So, it's all about that. You got to be smart, folks. You can't go to like a dealer lot. You don't do a Carfax. You don't check the maintenance records on a particular car. You're going to be SOL, you know, and you don't want to do that. You got to get smart.
Yeah, I got my mother-in-law a Toyota. Now I got her a Toyota Corolla. She's from Europe, so when she's here in the States, she has her own car so she can get around. It's a 2005 Toyota Corolla. Yeah. Okay, I got that in 2009 for $7,500. I paid cash for that. You know, I didn't do financing on that. But the idea was that it's a reliable car. Everybody knows Toyota Corolla. And she's happy with it. She's had it ever since with almost no problems.
Excellent.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to get I always tell people, get a Toyota or something. You know, definitely used. And so now, once you've done all these steps, once you've considered all these different things you can do, we didn't even talk about lending yet, really.
No.
We just talked about, you know, paying yourself first and finding the right kind of car and, you know, showing the dealer you can pay and this sort of thing. Now let's talk about where do I get lending? Because if you go to the dealer, you're going to go through what? He has 3 lenders, maybe. I don't know. So why don't you look outside and get a lender first? And the way I like to do it is, if I have, let's say, 2,000 saved up to buy a car that's going to be 10,000, maybe I can find a lender to match my down payment at least, and maybe the dealer then will say, okay, fine, or something like that, you know, or maybe I can get a loan from a friend or something. There are institutions though that I wanted to mention, and you can search on the internet. I didn't want to name names, but you can find for yourself if you look for nonprofit lenders, and especially those that will lend money for buying a car. Okay, so you want to consider nonprofit lenders. There are companies out there that will just lend you money to buy a car. They'll hold the title just like anybody else, and I'm sure the rates are reasonable. You just have to shop around, but This gives you a whole new pool of lenders that are for that purpose.
Right. Exactly.
So just
Exactly.
you have to search for that.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, if you go through it like a nonprofit lender, they'll give you things to do to help their ability to give you the loan. So you're not just by yourself in a vacuum trying to figure this out. If you actually talk to somebody who's in the business that does lending, then you can come in prepared when you go to buy the car, and you've been informed when you do that.
Yeah, and here's another thing, man. It's like if you want to see where you stand with the network of lenders and stuff. There's quite a few lending companies out there that or lending networks that lend out to people with bad credit for automobiles. One of the ones are like Auto Credit Express is one of them. Car.loan.com is another one of them. Okay, and these are companies that have both been around since the 90s. Their application process, you can do it all online, and it's like a 2 to 3 minute what's it call it? It's a 2 to 3 minute application process, and they specialize, in auto loans for people that have bankruptcies, bad credits, first time buyers, subprime, whatever.
Yeah.
And the payments are affordable. There's no application fees with any of them. And all you need is if you could show some of these companies, if you could show you have at least $1,500 a month in income to qualify. Again, like what John said, they'll match you up. The more you put down, that lower that interest rate goes, man. It is a beautiful thing. So
yeah.
Don't think you don't have options. Your whole thing is to you feel like a sheepish sucker walking around with your head down. Oh, you got a bad credit. What do we do?
Yeah,
options, man.
And that's the message. I think that's the big message of what we started in our last discussion and are continuing here, is that if you're stuck in a situation like that, don't discount your ability to solve problems. If you believe in yourself, if you're able to learn, I mean, half the stuff we just discussed could be found in a Google search, right?
Oh yeah.
So
you just have to know that you can do it.
Exactly, and a lot of it is just having, So there's this sort of like mentality of until you know something's possible, you can't attempt it. And so what we're trying to tell you is, it's possible to function in that 1 to 2 years or more where your credit is bad. In fact, it's possible to thrive and do all the things. And here's the thing. Here's the little secret that I think I'm spilling one of Mr. X's secrets here. Once you learn how to operate like that, you're not going to want to learn. You're not going to want to go back to operating the other way, where you just rely on a credit score to rack up debt on everything.
And because the best time to borrow money is when you don't need to.
Yeah.
And why would you do that? Because I'll do that. I have cash for a car, but I'm going to put 50% down and buy it on credit, because if I'm paying 9%, I can make 20% of my money. I know what to do with my cash. So definitely, that's what you want to think about as well. Whenever you're buying a liability, think like that.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely correct.
And I think so many, especially people who are getting into, who have debt issues, there's so little margin in their budget for making money and for investing and doing anything with their money, that they tend to just think that's something someone else does, right? Someone else builds passive income streams. Someone else makes their cash work for them. And I think that's the mindset that we really want to break. That's sort of our mission. It's not just to help people get out of debt so they can fix their credit and get back into debt. That's not what we want to see, especially for our members and for your listeners. We want to see people, approaching life differently so that they can flourish. They can flourish financially. They can flourish, and here's the thing, sometimes, I mean, not everybody does this, but the people who will sort of minimize the importance of having healthy finances for your own flourishing of your family and relationships. And I can tell you from experience, no matter how committed, how wise, how thoughtful, how prayerful you are, if your family's scraping by, it's going to create stresses and pressures that are going to prevent the entire family from really reaching their potential and enjoying their life fully. And so don't live under that lie that says you're always going to be working class, you're never going to have any other income streams. Don't do that. Just start researching, start learning, I mean, obviously you're at Rogue Money, so you're already on the road to thinking bigger, but it's not for other people, it's for you. And that's what the
And
whole message is
we
about.
can spend, you know, a lot of time discussing, you know, how to create cash flow. You don't just need to get cash flow from your job. That's not your only way to make money. And you know, people think, well, if I do that, I'm going to have a second job. That's what they think, but it's not like that. I'll give you one quick example. A friend of mine who's worth a lot of money. He's a real estate investor up in Atlanta, and he found there's a service, and he went through someone who writes books in the Philippines very cheaply. Now, it's not exploiting people, but you know, she got paid well. But he did it for, you know, it was very inexpensive. He wrote a book, and I think it was on completely outside of his knowledge base, how to do collages or something like that, right? So he wrote this book and published it, and he really made a really nice cash flow out of it. I don't know how much he made, but it was, you know, it was worth talking about. And it just didn't really, it cost him maybe a few $100s to get started. Someone else did all the work, and all he did was place it for sale, and it got sold on Amazon. That was about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And so
and that leads us to our announcement of our new Remain Calm publication, How to Do a Home Colonoscopy. And John and I hired a guy in the Philippines. John and I got a guy in the Philippines. He seemed pretty smart.
I mean, you can also sell a kidney, but I wouldn't recommend.
Oh my God.
But look,
did I just ruin?
Hey man, that you know, I am trying to sell my Gorilla Home hot coffee enema kit, but you know.
Now we're talking. Now we're thinking outside the box,
right?
But I mean, not to plan our next discussion on the air, but I would love to see us have that be our next main topic, which is just. And maybe we'd have to spread it over 3 or 4 discussions, but just how to start generating passive income. You know, I love what I know John and I both like Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I love what he says. He'll say people come to him all the time. I don't have any money to invest, and he'll say, "Well, geez, buy an ounce of silver or something. Just get started. You know, do something that is smart." You know, we would say now, you know, buy a Litecoin. And, you know, just empower yourself to get started with something where your money isn't just paying off a credit card or, you know, paying this week's expenses, you know. Let something else slide for a week and get yourself a couple Litecoin.
Exactly. If you think you don't have enough money to invest, you never will.
Yeah.
You'll be in the same position you were.
Hey, you got to get some financial balls.
Yeah.
You like financial balls. You need,
There's so many ways to create cash. I mean...
absolutely, man. It's too late in the game.
Oh my gosh. You know? But anyway, if you're over 30, you should be doing this. You should be showing your children how to do this. You know, exactly. The next thing is, like, we're talking about nonprofit lenders. So what that does is it expands your range of lenders out there, right? Well, if you go through a loan broker, the loan broker can even he probably has access to 100 different lenders instead of 15, right? So, and a loan broker can do the same thing that a nonprofit lender would do. So an auto loan broker may be another consideration.
Awesome.
Yep.
It's just another professional that can, he can help you make everything look good or do it the right way. So, you know, he can coach you along because he wants to broker the deal. And the one thing I really like that's coming up now, this is not new stuff, but it's kind of new for the internet, where I noticed the cryptos have peer-to-peer lending in both cryptos and dollars.
Yeah, very exciting.
This is cool because you can actually go there, subscribe for free. You can list the thing you want to sell, like a car title, for example. So you haven't bought the car yet, right? But you just have someone that says, yeah, I will buy your car title. I will lend you $10,000, and I will hold your car title until you pay it off under terms. And the services that are doing this are like escrow agents. So everything's pretty well secured. It's just that the lender has to understand that if you don't pay, he's going to have to arrange to repossess the vehicle, you know. So he's already got that figured out. So I think there are people now that are just putting their cash out and doing this. So there's peer-to-peer lending you might want to look at.
Excellent.
And he's going to ask for things. He's going to ask for credit, like proof of income or something, you know.
Exactly. And you got to understand that at the end of the day, they just want to make things look pretty. Okay, that's all it is. They just want to make it look good on paper. Can cut the mustard with the regulator so they could take that loan note that they gave you and then use that as a derivative to make money on Wall Street. That's all they're looking to do.
They do. And so be careful about that, because peer-to-peer lending is not always peer-to-peer. I was looking at some guy's situation about a month ago, and he got a peer-to-peer loan, and I looked at the peer he was dealing with, and it's like Bank of America, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Wells Fargo,
Do not consider
that's
Bank of
class.
America my peer.
These guys are like infiltrating into our new crypto world, and so you just have to be aware of who you're dealing with. I would not deal with the same banking system that I'm trying to get away from.
Our peer is the
Yeah,
Rothschilds.
you got salt lending. You got, Bix always talks about salt lending. You might
Yeah.
want
Salt
to
is
look
so
into that.
exciting. I'm so excited about Salt.
Yeah, there's some awesome stuff coming up. So yeah, just look at those. And now, as we were talking about before, I always bring this in, and I'll mention it again when we talk about how to buy a car with bad credit or no credit. I mean, a house, because we're going to talk about that next in another part. But yeah,
Yes.
it's the same thing. You recognize that you're buying a liability when you buy a car, and you have to have one pretty much, And so you should always think how you can offset the liability with something else. And like we just discussed, how to get a cash flow, how to create a cash flow, how to generate some additional money, hopefully that you're not working for on an hourly basis, that you can then use to offset your liability of having a car or buying a car. So if you go to, let's say you go to a dealer and you say, here's my job, here's my income, here's my savings, you probably get a decent deal. But if you go to the lender and say, here's my job, here's my income, here's my savings, oh, and I'm making $2,200 a month because for the last 6 months I've owned this car wash. I use that as an example all the time. But I own the car wash in town, right? Whatever. So now he's seeing that you have assets along with your job income. That looks way better.
Yeah.
But it makes your life easier. I told my children, I said, you can think about, like, my daughter's driving, and so she's going to have to buy a car, and I'm making her figure out how to pay for it. I'm not going to buy it. And she's actually looking at Litecoin. So, yeah, I mean, she's putting her birthday money in Litecoin. So,
wow,
but
brilliant.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is explaining that instead of just budgeting for a car and just barely surviving, why not budget for being able to pay for a chauffeur and things like that, and have someone drive you around? And how do you do something like that?
Yeah,
it sounds like
John, the General Motors. Remember we talked about the glut that's in the auto industry. They got all this inventory. General Motors, they launched an app that's on your iPhone and your Android device. It's called Maven, Maven. Okay, and if you go to their website, Maven Drive. Okay. Basically, it's ride sharing. You can get the latest inventory of General Motors vehicles. Okay, and rent them out. It's fully gassed. It's fully insured.
Wow.
It's car sharing.
Oh my God.
It's smart. Yeah. It's seamless. And all the cars come with features like OnStar, Apple CarPlay, Sirius XM.
Nice.
And what's happening is it's free to join. There's no fuel costs. Okay, so they're not paying a monthly membership like in Zipcar, so it's free to join.
Wow. Okay.
The cars have tons of features and amenities. Okay, and they have hourly and daily rates. And the insurance and everything, it's gas, it's insured, everything's ready to go. You just go ahead and pick up the car. They have it in locations all over the country. So you download the app, you find out where the latest Maven location is. You hop a bus over there.
Wow.
Take an Uber over there. Now you can go to your Maven location with your Uber, rent the car. You got the car for a day. You want to go take a day trip, whatnot. So there's and this is spreading because you're having a massive amount of inventory for cars. You got millennials who have no desire to buy a car or even drive. They're into ride sharing and experiential stuff, okay, and sniffing glue. But so
and man buns.
So and having man buns, getting man bun hairstyles. That's what they're into, and wearing merces, which are man purses, right? So these guys don't want to drive. It's too much of a toxic masculinity thing for them to drive, so they don't want to drive. So they got this glut of cars. There's more opportunities that are coming, folks. For the transportation sector, there's workarounds for everything. You just got to use your brain.
Yeah.
Hell, give us a call. Contact us. We'll tell you what the hell to do.
Yeah, I love creating, finding out. What I do is I find out what the person does, like what his profession is and what his interests are, and then I suggest different things where he may have an interest and actually be able to handily create some sort of cash flow based on his current knowledge.
And the objection you get is always what? I'm setting you up here. The objection is always, I don't have money to invest,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
You know how many companies I bootstrapped? You know what bootstrapping is? Where you start with zero and you make $1 million. I mean, you can do it. I mean, you pay for it in the end because you can't. It's not that easy to expand until you actually sell to investors. But I mean, you can do. Who needs $1 million? You just need $2,000 a month. If you had $2,000 a month, what would that do? And you're not working for it. Yeah,
and you're not talking, like I said before, you're not talking about reinventing the wheel. You're not talking about being Steve Jobs. You're talking about figuring out simple ways to generate cash flow with purchasing simple businesses, financing it with the owner, all these things that we've discussed before that we're going to discuss in the future.
When you drive to work, okay, if that's what you're doing every day, if you're driving to work, you're passing at least 10 deals that you could have to make money. And that doesn't mean a second job. Like you can buy the laundromat down the street. I don't know, maybe the owner's too old. He wants to sell. He's too tired of showing up every day or whatever. But the owner doesn't work there. Somebody else works there and it's already set. Just buy it and manage it. And lots of times you can buy it. You would think, well, why is he telling me to buy an asset when I'm trying to buy a car? Well, you'd be surprised. You can buy an asset with the seller's financing. And then you have yourself an asset.
And when you're dealing with a business, it's not about your own personal credit. It's about the business's own liquidity.
Yeah, what I tell people how to do is you go to a broker. This is the easiest way. If you're new to this, you go to a broker and he'll set you up. He'll qualify you and he'll make sure that your finances look great. Like for example, he'll make sure your balance sheet and income statement look proper, and that you explain to him you're not going to do it in your name. He understands, and he'll show you setting up a business with a balance sheet and even a business credit profile. I mean, that takes a few months to set up. But I mean, if you really wanted to do it that way, then the broker can hook you up with deals where you're already qualified for those types of deals. You don't even have to go around looking for the deal. He'll contact the owners and all this stuff. So there's really no excuse why you should not have another cash flow, at least one besides your job.
So no excuse. Not I'm in debt already. Not I don't have time. Not I don't have this. It's and once you learn how to do that once, there's nothing to stop you doing it over and over and over again.
We're just using the way of buying a debt, a liability, right? With bad credit, that parlays itself into something else of a whole life change. Of okay, well, if I'm going to buy a liability like this, why not buy an asset while I'm at it, and let's build up my net worth.
Yeah.
Don't struggle and struggle through life and not have anything and just barely get by.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, gents, we're up to the last 5 minutes of the show. So why don't you guys plug the services
I'll plug
that we offer. Go plug away, man. For a lot of Remain
First, let me plug this. While we were talking, I used the power and magic of the internet to post Mr. X's article, How to Buy a Car with Bad Credit, at remaincom.net.
Yay!
So go to Remain, and for now, for the moment, it's downloadable for free. It's going to be $1 million in 55 seconds. Get it now. So go get it. I'm serious. I might make it like a Bitcoin thing or something. You know, a few minutes, because there's going to be people who want it. But right now it's free. So just go to remaincom.net. Scroll down the page a little bit, and if you're really feeling guilty about getting this for free, which you should feel horrible about yourself. You should just be beating yourself up the rest of the day. You really feel guilty about it, click the red Learn More button above the article and check out me and V talking about our services at remaincom.net with the Thrive program, where we talk about asset protection and credit repair. Because as I said when we started this discussion today, where our discussion began last week, we were talking about the fact that you need to work through and overcome fear that's holding you back, that's keeping you in your bad debts, that are ruining your life, that you can't afford your bills because you're paying your credit cards. And why are you doing that, and where is that going to lead? It's going to go in a bad place anyway. You might as well go there protected. You might as well do it deliberately and start changing things. A couple of years from now, you could be living a very, very different life. I know, because I've been through that experience myself. Right. So go and look at what we do there. You can get How to Buy a Car with Bad Credit for free. It's just a PDF. You can download it, written by our own Mr. X. Sorry, I don't have my guitar plugged in. We have a Mr. X theme song that we want to play.
Guitar, man.
Dude, it's hard to explain, but I can't have it on while I'm plugged into this. So, but I use my computers. But man, this is an excuse to buy a big Marshall stack for my office. How's that? So you give me an excuse. Nice. I'll get a big stack in my office, so every time we're on, I could do the Mr. X riff. But, but while you're at Remain, You think I'm kidding? That's exactly what I'm going to do. See, I always find an excuse to buy new guitar equipment. So, so while you're there, click on that Learn More, and you'll see. I think it's about an 8-minute video where V and I discuss our Thrive program, where we talk about how to protect your bank account. We talk about how to get your credit fixed up, and really that just scratches the surface of what we do. We have really an end-to-end asset protection, really focused. Our smart banking product, as we say, it's for everybody. There's really no one who should be banking the old way. We have a very simple way. It's simple now. It was complicated when Mr. X invented it. It's simple. It's simple to use. It wasn't simple to create, but Mr. X overcame that for you, and it's very, very affordable. It's funny, V. I talked to one of the people that was funded through RemainCom. With our funding partners, and he's if he's listening out there, this guy is the sweetest guy. I just love him, and he says, and he just received. I was involved in his funding. Give his first name, so I knew give his first name. No, because he said something funny. I don't want to embarrass him. All right. But he I know that he just got a lot of money, like a fortune. Okay, we got him a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he asked me, he's like, I don't know if
north
he
of
said,
what? How much did we get him? North of 200K, 300K, 400K? What?
I think it was closer to 400 if I'm thinking about the right person.
So we got him over 400,000.
Which, by the way, I do have to say, that program, you do need good credit. Sorry, folks. Don't think us hypocritical. But with our funding partners do look for good credit. But we can clean credit. So don't hesitate to ask us about that. So but here's what he said that was really funny. And this was really cool. He was like, he's done funding and he's kind of working on his investments because that's what he got funded for. And he says to me, he says, I don't know if I can afford your smart banking. And I was like, what? you just got hundreds of thousands of dollars. What do you think we charge? I was like, anybody can afford our smart banking, let alone someone who has just funded hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
But
you literally thought it was a lot of money.
He thought it was like, because he had already invested most of his money, so he figured like he doesn't have any margin to set up a $10,000 smart banking. And it's like, yeah, I don't expect you to. That's why we do it for $497.
Yeah,
it's less than $500.
One-time fee. What? Yeah, less than $500 to have a protected bank account.
Yeah, this used to be like 10 grand. Okay,
well,
10 grand.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, John, you could speak to what it would cost to set up something similar.
Okay, go into an attorney's office and ask him to set you up with a bank account that no one can levy.
Oh yeah.
Now if he doesn't laugh you out of there, he'll charge you some enormous retainer because he knows he's not going to be able to help you, but he's just going to take your money. So
yeah, so he can't do it.
It's not available.
So remaincom.net, you'll see the link to download that article, and click on that Learn More after you do, and hear me and V describing some of our services and our memberships. It's pretty cool stuff there. So something for everybody.
Yeah, man. And we also have the gold USB. Let's not forget about that, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Right there at RemainCom, we put everything together. We have our link for the Thrive program, which is our asset protection. Second thing on the page is our personal and business funding. You could learn more about that. Again, that is for people with good credit, but we can help if you have some negatives on there to work through. And then, of course, the third thing on our page, protect your online privacy with My Gold USB. And yeah, people are loving the My Gold USB. It's just awesome.
We were talking with someone yesterday. She was using it, and she was asking about the Bitcoin wallet. It's Electrum that's on there. And I told her she wanted to download a wallet that had all the other coins, the altcoins. And there is, like, I think Exodus is one of them. You can download Exodus. You can download any wallet and put it on the gold USB and then store your Bitcoins on that thing.
Yeah, it's super safe, super awesome. So, yeah, and then, of course, mocking me at the bottom of the page, Crypto School community coming soon, because that's for me to make it soon. And actually, V and I were discussing that is right around the corner. That's coming really soon. So I don't want to say when I hope it's going to come out, but it actually is soon now. When it said coming soon. Now it's real. It really is coming soon. We're super excited about it. So. Yep. And by the way, that's not going to be for nerds. That's going to be for people who are like getting set up. It's going to be. I mean, it'll satisfy some nerds, and I say nerds affectionately, not rudely. It'll satisfy some nerds who want to know how to get into some trading on bit tricks and stuff like that. But it's really designed to take somebody who is. It's going to be to take somebody who's maybe you've bought a little bit of Litecoin on Coinbase, maybe not. Maybe you don't know how to buy anything, and you're like, I don't know where to put the wallets. I don't know what to buy. I don't know how to do this. My Ether wallet confuses me. I'm terrified. What we're gonna do is just beginning to end walk you from the most basic steps of how to get some Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum to how do I turn that into some of the altcoins? How do I get some OMG? How do I get some salt? How do I, use all kinds of things? So it's going to be really cool.
That's going to be awesome, man. We're looking forward to that.
It's going to be simple, straightforward, and screencasts where I'm showing you what to do on your computer, because cryptos is all about using your computer.
That's what's up, man. That's what it's all about. All right. With that being said, folks, thank you all for listening in. Gentlemen, thank you for being on. I can't wait for part 3, how to buy a home without credit. And then after that, we could go into the series of
cash flow.
I guess, cash flow. How to create cash
flow.
We
got that ghost phone to talk about too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, we got the ghost phone. And I can't wait for the Silverback to be out. I'm waiting for
I know.
It's coming soon.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's
but,
CJ's
with that
fault.
being said, thank you all for listening. Yeah,
just blame CJ.
CJ.